Greetings! So I'd like to take you on a little journey. If you'll bear with me, I have some notes that I've been meaning to regurgitate. Yeah, that's it. I want regurgitate. Like a bird. Yeah, like a mama bird. You know how they like swallow the worm and they get it really good and mushy to regurgitate it for the baby. Not that you're the baby. Maybe I'm the baby and I need this process for myself to move onward and to move through the material that I have been specializing myself into because I find it very special, not because I want to become an expert, but because I find the female body and the feminine spirit to be such a beautiful mystery and such an important and vital component to our society that I think we are still completely misunderstanding. So I have a few notes here, and I've done some videos on the somatic presence in the pelvic floor. It's a little more anatomical, it's a little more geared towards the body work. But there's so much theoretical underpinning to this and language that I really love that I'd like to share with you. And in hopes in sharing with you, I'm sharing it with myself, and I'm deepening it and widening it in a way that I can keep on discovering, because I don't ever want to stop exploring and discovering the endless well of this sacred subject. So first, there is this language you may have even heard me use before if you've watched other videos: landscape and wilderness. So landscape, when I use the word landscape, what I'm connecting that to is spirit, energy, formlessness. And then there's the wilderness. And what I'm connecting wilderness to is the actual body, the mind, a region, and most specifically, I usually say the female wilderness, and I'm talking about the female body. And then when it comes to the feminine, I'm thinking more broadly of energy, and then therefore I'm saying landscape. And so I realized that there's a concept embedded in there that I hadn't picked up on before, almost as if I'm learning from my own new use of language, is the shape-shifting capacity available in the word landscape. Now, I mean, we could say like, this landscape down here is the wilderness, this landscape up here takes on a different landscape form. But what I'm really interested in is the ability of the feminine spirit or feminine energy landscape to be able to shift and form and change based upon the situation that the female body finds herself in, based upon the context around her. And that maybe one of the superpowers of feminine energy, of that fluidity, is shapeshifting. And this landscape being able to just go from like hill to tree to mountain to pyramid to whatever it is. So that's just one little snippet here that I'm still whittling down in on, is this capacity of feminine spirit or energy, the fluidity of it, to be this shape-shifting landscape. And then there's the female body, which takes on the form of that shape-shifting experience. So there's that. And then I want to go back to the diaphragm, belly button, and below being this wilderness, being a specific landscape, and that it is a wilderness because of the organic thickness, the darkness of the underbrush, the density. And I want to make a note here, because I try to say this whenever I can, that there is feminine energy in male bodies. there is womb portal energy in male bodies. Again, because it's about where we came from, it's about our creation lineage, it's about our blueprints for pouring forth with potential creations of our own. So that said, the feminine energy or spirit in the female body is a completely unique experience to its own, of and to its own. And so its womb power has a non-linear, non-linguistic, shape-shifting capacity that is so unique to that pair up of female form to feminine formlessness. And there's something about the wilderness landscape that density and that darkness, within there lies this mysterious, super potent power that is unique to feminine energy in a female body, spirit and form. And so I'm going to let you sit with that one. I personally am moving myself through shedding lots and lots of layers of judgment around density and darkness. First of all, darkness being hiding and not related to shame. Darkness being never inherently bad, but maybe it's inherently nurturing. Maybe it's a little bit of both, but we don't seem to have these hang-ups around the light. The light is always good. The light is always helpful. And I want to also begin pondering and positing that sometimes maybe the light is bad. Like when you shine a bright spotlight into the woods to try to catch an animal so you can see it with your eyes and you scare them. I mean, if you're at all conscious about like the experience of other creatures, that's bad. If you're not, then fine. Keep doing whatever you're doing. But I am. And so I'm playing with this paradigm light dark and desiring, because I think the feminine energy in the female body is so special, desiring to pull off all the crap layers of socially normalized judgment around what darkness is. And that maybe we've got it completely backwards. Maybe we should be more careful with the light than the dark. Maybe we're underestimating our human super capacity for night vision. I don't know. I want to let you ponder on that on your own because I'm still deep in meditation on it, but that's where I'm going. And so big also, this is another tricky place for me that I'm still marinating on. Big yes to the differences in our bodies between male and female bodies. And also, I would love for every male-bodied person to be in very deep reverence and union with their womb space, which is in the pelvic, like below the bottom of the diaphragm, belly button, and all the way down through the root. And I think it's a brave choice these days to know your form and to embody your the formlessness aspect energy of your form to be a really feminine female. It's kind of dangerous. It's almost like, feels like uncharted territory. And to be a male body with deeply embodied masculine energy, those are polar opposites, right? And so much in our culture these days is going to this blending and this gynomorphic, which is also potent and amazing. But I think we need all three. I think we need to all be celebrating and holding up as equally important the very feminine female, the very masculine male, and the completely gynomorphic sacred hermaphrodite, or whatever amalgamation of form and formless that one presents as. And so this also makes me think of so this is like a continuum of that landscape shape-shifting capacity of all bodies. It is also, it's a continuum of embodiment type, right? It's like type. What type am I going? What type of energy am I putting into the form or paying attention to or giving emphasis in my form? And then there is the embodiment practices. So it's the how, not the type, but the method. There we go. So it's the method. And maybe depending on what energy you are desiring to embody. So specifically my work has been all around the bottom of the diaphragm and below. And so the whole this whole bucket, the bucket, and in the bucket, at the bottom of the bucket is the pelvic bowl, the pelvic basket. So that's where I'm most interested in. And so maybe the method of embodiment there can be a best application for what form, I keep saying form, what method of embodiment one chooses. And so form, I keep saying the word because I think I'm going to like male form, excuse me, and female form. And maybe those forms have different, on the wide variety and continuum of embodiment methods, maybe those forms like speak out to different ones. I'm not going to try to draw any conclusions except for just to acknowledge that there's like the form types and then embodiment methods. So let me give you some examples. Movement, dance, embodiment. Visualization, imagination, embodiment. Touching oneself. Breathing, sensing in the pauses. These are all embodiment practices. And so I think this connotation of wilderness, or the connotation in wilderness I find most attractive, is the exploration and how we would explore in the wilderness, in the dark. How slow would we need to go? How many pauses would we take? How sensitive can our touch become to be able to, with honor and reverence, navigate that type of form, the wilderness? How can we become like that gentle white-tailed deer, rolling off every briar, every thorn, and carving out a little pod oasis of gentleness within which to go and rest? And what is available for us like that in our own wilderness of the belly button and below? Like, we spend so much time up here, and very rarely does it feel like, for me, that picture of like a little deer cozied up, ready to go to sleep. And I imagine that space is always available in the pelvic region. And if we can begin bridging these two, because we have this lower mind, we can tap these into together. And maybe, beyond meditation, passive and active meditation practices, maybe one of the avenues is bridging this mind above and the mind below to have a really embodied feminine energy of like that constant presence of the female spirit, that gentle, yet I got to that gentle, soft, restful space because I navigated the darkness of the wilderness. That's not easy. it's potentially even scary, right? So there's a tenacity and a grit, but also a gentleness. And I think that can be available, I know that's available when the mind above and the mind below are united. When this is attuning to the somatic presence and the somatic wisdom and the full energy of the pelvic bowl, pelvic bucket, pelvic region is flowing and available all the way through the vagal nerve. But that requires this thing to get on board with the deep mystery down below. And so this is a co-created intuitive exploration within. And I love that because that feels like a very feminine methodology, co-creative intuitive exploration. And so I'm trying to catch up with my own notes here. Connecting, the executive mind with the soma mind. And so the soma is the whole body. The soma is like Latin for body. So it's not just that this has somatic presence, the whole body has a somatic presence. But where I'm working from is that this has a very potent energy available, especially if you're a female body with a feminine spirit waiting to be integrated. And it's there, it's already there. That feminine energy is already there. It's just about bringing this executive functioner online and moving in it. So yeah, so like learning the way that we can do this, the way that we can tap into the most potent core of the soma. I think that's how I want to frame it up. Whole thing is soma, most potent core here. Is through sensory, alivening and awakening the senses. And then also learning the sensory language and the somatic sensations. So texture, temperature, sometimes color, that gets a little heady. And connecting with that primal, noetic, mysterious, wild feminine who is deep in that wilderness. And now, this is honoring and in its right place in the soma by receiving the wisdom and power source from the true place of power. Like this thing thinks it's like the powerhouse, but really that's not its role. The energy and the powerhouse of the soma is here, and this is an executive functioner, like an orchestra director. So here you can see there's all these different language sets that are available to honor the presence of feminine energy in the female body with female feminine methodology. I hope this is coming through. I hope I'm transmitting this in a way that's helpful. Okay, so yeah, we're talking about integrating wisdom from the hiding place, the female body, this uniquely feminine wilderness. It's like again, another layer of landscape is the cave. No lights, no analytics, no speculum, no emotional strings attached. Especially when we're in this work deeply as sisters or as client and practitioner, we're just going in with such honor and reverence, and it can be fun, it can be funny, it can be serious, it can be healing, it can be anything. When you get two female bodies channeling the feminine spirit together, can you imagine what is available? And so when I'm doing this work with myself or with others, I'm looking to go right inside that cave. No fear, no hesitation. I'm right there. I'm right there ready to receive whatever sensation, whether it's uncomfortable, painful, erotic, whatever is there. I'm going right inside that cave, learning, absorbing, receiving, slowly, patiently, reverently. And this type of touch really seems to awaken a wisdom. And when it translates up that vagal nerve and it connects with the executive functioner, what I have perceived is that every woman has her own unique throat chakra and third eye way of expressing what comes from the universally shared womb mystery. So I think we all share the same base, and it's through the beauty of how it moves through our bodies that it comes out in speech, and it comes out in visuals or imagination or your own unique messages through your higher centers, which are your unique personal higher centers. It's like the higher we go up, the more fractal we are and the more unique we are. That's why we have big heads. Or that's what the idea of having a big head, like, oh, you think you're so unique. Yeah, it's like you can get a big head about that, or you can be in awe of the beauty that we are all grounded in the same root energy, especially as women with this embodied organic womb center. So I'm going to wrap this up soon because I wanted this to be 20 minutes and we're at 21. So there's something unique about going right to the source of potency in the soma, right? That belly button and below. Whole thing, soma, belly button and below, really potent space for somatic presence to be built and reverberated throughout, to have a presence of vitality for yourself and for others to receive from. So I've been calling it like resourcing from the pelvic floor, from that third diaphragm, raising the nourishing dark depths of the spine. You know, like the richest compost is usually the stinkiest, darkest, wettest stuff. And so we want to raise that up through the spine and throughout all of the energy streams of the body to nourish and revitalize even just all of our organ functions. Again, form stuff, but then also to revitalize all of our energy channels of our heart and our feeling, our energy body as well. So pelvic floor touch and care is, it's really comes to this root base of human connection and the desire for humans to connect first within very deeply and powerfully, and then to connect without very deeply and powerfully. And that ground, like when people talk about grounded connection, I'm like, well, like how present are you to the somatic sensations of your root? How embodied am I in my sacred center foundational building block? And if I'm not very present there, embodied there, then how can I connect from my unique experience if I'm not grounded in our most human shared base? And so there's the ceremony path that I offer for this, like to embody all of this, to take this into practice. Excuse me. And the ceremony is really built on these concepts of wilderness and honoring the landscape and revering the darkness and kind of paying homage to the depth of humanity, of the shared experience we all have of having these bodies. And then also there are sessions which are just as powerful, but there's less attention, awareness, energy placed into the spirit, and more practicality, more form, more maybe introductory kind of getting the body in a different alignment with itself. But for me, the thing that I love best, the thing that I find so special, is the ceremony side of body work, is the building into the full holistic reverence and honor of the feminine spirit as spirit. We can call it energy, but I like to call it spirit. And all of this is female body based. And so it's with that that I am concluding my perusings on rewilding the feminine through this sacred feminine touch body work that's available from me, and there's other practitioners out there in the field. You know, if you're in a place that I can't fly to, I can help you get connected with a network of other practitioners that we trained in the same lineage. So thanks for listening. I can't wait to see what this does for me, and it's so wonderful to have this YouTube platform as some type of community building space. So thank you, and yeah, blessed be.